not work for that money.
And Carahill was going to suggest, why don't we just keep it in the bag altogether to have a party fund?
Then how I surprise you with all my gifts from my wonderful friends. No, I'm kidding. Just come back with pies for everybody.
Do you see the handouts, Justin?
I do, yeah.
I think I'll have to make a folder for everybody now. So that if you guys want to do that, because I don't know where else I would put these guys. Although I could put it in named NPCs. Sure, why not? We'll do that. And you'll get to see that folder. I put Milo in named NPCs. I don't know how to alphabetize. Nah. There's a lot of named NPCs in this campaign. Alright. Where did we... Is Nyx there? Is Nyx here?
I'm here.
Okay. I think my audio died when we were talking about
Oreboro?
Yeah, sorting ore from the town of Oreboro. So,
Is this something that's common, Valiant?
Well, we already had a way of sorting and separating useless, or not useless, but the minerals from good ore for iron and such. But he was just working on a new way of doing it. Earth elementals have a way of separating the type of rock that they're made of, should they choose. And he's working on a way of optimizing it, and well, something happened with the binding, and it let an Earth Elemental loose. I want everyone who has lived in Forthstride to roll history checks.
Okay. That's my button.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Zachariel, you didn't live in Forthstride long enough to be here for it, but you know of the history of the Elemental Guilds and how breakouts like this were actually commonplace when they first started. Out, when this sort of arcane technology was beginning to be experimented with, elemental breakouts were sort of common, and it became a little bit of a nuisance. But at least a decade back, it started to subside significantly, and a lot of people aren't exactly sure why. There's debate on what steps that the guild leaders took to ensure better safety for their workers and their surrounding environment, but it calmed down significantly. So this is actually a rare event in recent times.
Am I able to piece that information together with the thing I know about the loud I think the piece of information you gave me?
Are you talking about when
the ground ripped open or whatever?
No, it that seemed to be an unrelated thing.
Okay.
But he's just explaining it, and he just gives you like the little crash course on what he was doing, and he says, yeah, that he just kind of like his eyes furrow, and he says, it's a pet theory, but I can't help but wonder if the binding apparatus was tampered with. He says, I have it here. And he sort of pulls out this arcane device that there's a lot of coils of this blue metallic metal and what looks like sort of a container. He just puts it on the desk. He says, I looked it over and I don't know.
What do you think, Tadius? Can you see anything about this?
If I may, I will walk up and kind of pick it up and inspect it very thoroughly, see if it was tampered in any way.
You can't tell. You don't have enough experience with these sort of devices.
It's hard to say. Illyria, would anyone want to harm your brother?
Not that I can think of, but back in the cave. Remember, he said...
Larrick did say that your brother did something.
It might be connected to those tablet fellows. He's disconcerting. We should definitely watch out for such things.
He just looks at you, Illyria, and says, is there anything else I can do?
Oh, yes. Have you heard of the Forthstriders?
His eyes furrow. He says, no, that I've never heard of. Is that a religious organization?
Ancient dwarves?
They appear to be worshippers of something called the Divine Mountain.
He just blinks. I've never heard of such a phrase.
Can we tell if he's telling the truth or not?
Jedias,
Roll an insight check.
Yes.
show him the symbol.
I pull out my bag where I wrote out the symbol that was carved in the skulls and everything. And I kind of push it over to him. This seemed familiar to you in any way.
He frowns. You don't see any recognition in his eyes.
It's a small
I'm guessing I
organization.
can tell nothing from that roll.
He seems genuine. He doesn't seem like he's hiding anything. He looks very concerned.
The only thing is we happened to cross paths with a gentleman, and he said that my brother got what he deserved.
His eyes furrow further.
Apparently, he was tormenting innocent creatures?
He kind of blinks and... Well, that's an interesting way to call it. Elementals are... He puts his hands up and he kind of gives air quotes, creatures. They're sort of living embodiments of energy, but as far as anyone knows, they don't have a real sentience.
Perhaps the first writers have something to do with the element of targeting people who are utilizing them.
He kind of, he grows cold at that, visibly. And he says, I'm going to let Marshal Chanzel know about that. And just
Definitely.
have him maybe get more corporals around here. That sounds...
Oh, Marshal Chanzel? Is he the one that was away for a couple days or whatever?
Well, he's the marshal that looks over the industrial block, this hill we're all on right now.
Okay.
He says, I'll try to find him and have a conversation with him and see if he can get more corporals up here. Might not be a bad idea.
Oh, yes, please do so.
And exactly where was it on this premise?
He says, yes, I can show you. We cleaned it
Please.
up, but you can see we still haven't reconstructed the walls, so you can see what happened with that, but we cleaned up most of everything else, I'm sorry.
He's what it is. Wishing I had my higher level abilities.
You'll get a chance to use them once you have them. Don't you worry. So he leads you.
Yeah.
He leads you out of the office and kind of like shuffles past everyone, and he leads you to down the hall and sort of outside, or not outside, but like near the outside. There's a window. You can see that big patch of dirt on the map. Let me actually bring you back there.
Okay.
Um,
The one behind the building.
Yeah, that's fenced in. You can see that there's people like working with, looks like people that are just sort of experimenting with different sorts of earth-moving devices, and and when you see that, Zachary, you kind of remember that a lot of farmers use like plows that are driven by the sort of mechanical energy of earth elementals. But as you guys are sort of led into another workshop. But before you actually led into the workshop, you notice a big hole in the wall. That's sort of coated over with plaster. Like the sharp edges are sort of like coated over with plaster, and the inside is just. It looks like it was torn up because there's a lot less furniture in here than there was before.
So I'm just gonna look around.
Yeah,
Can we just make a basic inspection, see if there's anything that they missed in the cleanup?
Sure, go ahead and roll an investigation check.
I'd love to do that. Click back into my machine and investigate. Uh, 23.
Okay, so today is looking around. You're sort of looking through nooks and crannies in the room, maybe under a desk here and there. Not a desk, a bench, like a workbench here and there. And you look under one, and you kind of just, something catches your eye. And you see what looks like a small round rock that looks like it was polished a little bit. It's not glossy. It has like a matte sort of way of catching light, and it's on a leather thong. You pick it up, you inspect it, and you can see that it has that symbol on it.
Valeria.
Yes.
I reach in my bag and I pull my notebook, show her the rock and the notebook next to each other. This was no accident.
Oh my.
This concerns me as well. I have also been the elemental trade.
Well, the good thing is we know that this is a small group and we cut off the head.
Is Valiant still with us?
Yeah, he's just kind of sitting, or not, he's not sitting, he's standing by the opening, just kind of watching you. He sees you pull up that thing and he just kind of like peers at it curiously.
If I remember correctly, the mage stone armor, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I was saying to the team, like, if I remember correctly, the mage had stone armor, correct?
He did.
An earth elemental, worshipped words written on stone.
The shovel, the Sunni shovel.
Mm-hmm. It's not a complete stretch to say that if this was a stone worshipping team, there might be other ones for other elements out there.
This just becomes more curiouser and curiouser.
We should bring this to the marshal. He might want to know
For
about
sure, yes, of course.
He says, I'll take care of that. If you can't find him, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
I think
It doesn't matter who he hears it from first, as long as he hears it from somebody.
Why do you want to take care of it?
He just says, He's just trying to reassure you that even if you can't find him, he'll do it.
I think you're busy here. We have some free time. We'll take care of it.
He looks a little relieved. He says, well, thank you.
And we'll make sure that he gets some more corporals over here to help you out too.
He nods.
Thank you for opening the doors to us. And I can put my book back in my bag.
He says, not a problem. Make sure that Atosi is okay.
I will.
So, what do? Do you leave?
Yeah, we're probably. I'm walking out the door.
Okay.
Well, guys, should we talk to the marshal?
Well, if you don't mind the slightest of detours, I did have business 2 doors down.
Oh, of course.
You're welcome to come along.
Lead the way.
I'm going to go to my uncle's establishment.
All right.
Oh, before I leave, Valen, you wouldn't happen to have any fine sand that you would allow me to take a handful of?
He's just kind of blanks. You want sand?
I love sand. What can I say?
Sure. He quickly leads you to a workshop, and there's just a drawer that's just full of sand, and he gets a bag and just scoops some, puts it in, hands it to you.
Thank you so much, kind sir. And I stick that in my pack.
You now have a bag of sand.
Hey,
It sounds funny until you guys need me.
you should take a look at that.
It's kind of funny that there's sand just lying around in a
drawer.
drawer.
It's like there's the sand, and then he pulls one drawer out. It's like rocks, and then he pulls another drawer out, and it's smaller rocks, and he pulls out another drawer, and it's sand.
That's cute. You should take a look in that bag for me.
I look in the bag.
I'm going to use my mold earth cantrip. I'm going to write magic sand.
God.
And I giggle. I like you today. We're gonna be good friends.
We had to make up for the one you lost. But I'm going to start leading the team towards the other building.
All right.
Which one was sales?
It is this one.
Ooh, okay. So that's fair enough.
My weekend project is going to be coming up with logos for these guys and just slapping them onto the buildings on the map.
Yeah, I was thinking the watery one was going to, whatever the aquatic based one was.
Yeah. Clear Currents.
Clear Currents.
So you guys make your way over to, yeah. You guys make your way over here, and the receptionist here recognizes Tadius right away, and she says, "Oh, one moment," and she runs into a door, and then a minute passes. Does anything happen during that minute? I'm just wondering if anyone makes any idle chat just for funsies.
Just starts humming away.
Carahill's still just looking around curiously.
So your uncle works here?
He actually owns the place.
And what is this called again?
Winds and Sails.
He does very similar work, just in the realm of air elementals.
So Dimitri bursts through the door and says, Tadius, you're here! And he says, he looks around at the party and says, "Are these your friends?"
These are, yes.
He says, bring them along.
Everybody come in.
So he leads you down a hallway through the building, and then you've been in here before, Tadius. This is a big room that's a workshop, and it's just got a lot of air elemental based devices like sails and fans and ventilation systems and stuff. But when he leads you in here today, you see this big structure underneath a tarp canvas.
So it looks like he's got something he's gonna reveal by taking off the tarp, essentially.
Yes. He looks very giddy.
What do you have up your sleeve, Uncle?
He's just like smiling big, and he just kind of like he rubs his hands together, all excited, and he just grabs the canvas and he just starts pulling it down because it's a lot of fucking canvas. He just starts pulling it down, and then what you see is what appears to be a ship with a balloon on top of it.
A new model? Faster sailing?
He says, "My boy, this doesn't sail the seas, it sails the skies."
Oh, that
Oh.
sounds interesting.
How did you manage this?
He says, "Do you remember 5 years ago? Do you remember when we went into that really stinky hole in the ground?"
Oh, the sink. Don't remind me of that stench.
He says, "Well,
Yes.
that rune was the secret. It was just what I was looking for." He says, he points to the balloon. He says, "There are air elementals inside that, and it provides lift. It can go as fast as a horse, by my calculation."
This is amazing, Uncle. You could do so much with this.
Just a question.
He looks at Zachriel and says, "Of course."
What happens if you're floating around in the air and those elements escape?
He says, he kind of like blinks and he's, "Oh, there's a set of canvas that expands and it slows the descent.
Good.
Don't worry, I thought of that."
Have you taken it out yet?
He says, "I've taken out smaller versions. I didn't want to bring out the big one yet, but it has the same build. It's just scaled up a little bit." And then he looks at
the proportions don't change any with the glyph. It can manage this much weight.
He says, "Oh, it can manage up to 50 tons."
Uncle, this is amazing.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "I want you to do me a favor."
Anything.
He says, he kind of like takes you up onto the deck of this thing, and he shows you the controls, and they look pretty simple. They don't look very complicated. If you can drive a horse and cart, you can drive this. He says, "I want you to take this to an old friend of mine. I want you to surprise him with it."
Do you want me to fly there?
He smiles and he nods.
Hum starts jumping up and down and clapping. "I want to go."
Well, you're all invited, but I mean, if you were to tell me last night that I was being asked to fly somewhere, I'd tell you were an idiot. So, who's your friend and where is he?
He says, well, he used to work with me. His name is, and Justin, for your benefit, characters change. His name is Thuro Maroska. Thuro Maroska. Let me put it in the chat.
Thuro Maroska. Do I know that name? Does it ring any bells?
You recognize that name? It was one of his partners, essentially. One of the people that helped him get Winds and Sails off the ground.
Where does Maroska stay now?
He says my boy, he retired about 8 years ago, and he founded a society of bird riders. He says up in the Maastricht Mountains there's these giant vultures, and he founded a society that learned to ride them.
There's no wild giant vultures there.
Say that again.
I asked him if there's any wild giant vultures in the area.
He says, well, here and there, but they don't usually, as far as I know, they don't usually attack people. They're vultures. They go after dead things. They go after carrion. Carrion, is that what it's called? That's what it's called.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I have some matters I want to attend to with my, but I think that we could do this for you, Uncle.
He says, "Oh, thank you," and he
But,
kind of like
starts jumping around.
he kind of
Speaking
like
of which, I should really introduce you. Actually, come. And I bring my uncle. So, very quickly, the little bouncy one. This is Hum. She terrifies me. Very good songstress. Also very deadly with the crossbow. We have Lyria. Lyria is she's a ranger, and she has a brother that actually works for a competitor, if you would call it that. So
he kind of looks
she-
at Lyria and he says, man, that name is so hard for me to say. I'm sorry. He says,
Altosi.
Altossi.
yeah. He says, oh, are you? He says, oh, are you Altosi's sister?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Very one.
happy to meet you. And he shakes Hum's hand. He shakes Illyria's hand.
Pleased to meet you too.
So Zachriel, he is a very imperative in this journey, as he is probably the most combat savvy of all of us.
Thank goodness.
I've seen you around. Good to meet you.
Yes.
And finally, probably the kindest soul we have in our group, him, our monk friend.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
He shakes your hand and says, happy to meet you, Carahill.
I believe these people have proven themselves very capable and would be a great asset. I don't know if we have any funds to make available for them for this job, but you know me, I'll work for you because I love you. But if you wanted to in some way benefit them with some pocket change, I mean, it could be well money spent.
He says,
Oh,
that sounds fair.
Not me. I will do it for the fun.
You can do it for the fun and the money, because I want you all to know that if you work, you will be well taken care of, and that's what matters.
He says, well, anyone who wants it, I'll offer you 10 gold for the trip.
I believe I'm on vacation, but
Well,
we'll
then
be
you'll
able
have
to
some
take all
spending
my money, so...
There you go. We have one. Illyria, Kerry, will 10 gold suffice?
I said so long.
So we're going up in this thing?
That is what the 10 gold is for. It's probably some paperwork for insurances, but for helping me support this expedition, this first ride.
I would say so long as I do not die before my time, then it would be worth the trip.
I will do my best to avoid such things.
You know me, I'm always up for an adventure.
I know, and I kind of like elbow bumper.
Well, it does sound exciting.
Dances.
He says, well, I can show you now where you need to go, or you said you had business to take care of?
Prepare everything we need to. We'll be back here. Talk about details.
He says, all right.
And I give him another big hug and say, "This is amazing to meet today. I really think this is going to do great for your business."
He just smiles, just the whitest smile. And he says, and you flying it over the countryside will be quite the advertisement.
Right. When I
Perhaps
get
you
back,
should,
we'll do some drinks.
perhaps you should put a banner on the bottom of it so they know who owns it.
That's a great idea. And then he just sort of shouts out to a worker who has a name that I don't know right now.
Steve.
He says, Steve. He says, Steve, can you get our logo on a big piece of canvas? And Steve's like, sure, boss. And he gets on it.
Steve's a good worker. He's a good guy.
He's great, and he has 3 kids. No one else knows that except Tadias.
Yeah.
In the party.
So let's go talk to the marshal, take care of the business, see if we can enjoy another night in the town, and then head off.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Amen.
Goodbye, Uncle. See you soon.
He says, we'll be here waiting for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where we'll end the session.
Sounds good.
Unless, let's see, what can I do, actually? We'll go like 10 more minutes. We'll take care of the marshal.
If you want to.
I mean, I can. I can actually do that. That's not a problem. I am prepared. So, you know that typically the marshal of a given area is... Oh, wait a minute. I messed up the names. The marshal for this area is actually the marshal you met underneath the the tablet monastery.
Yeah, I thought that was right.
Yes,
Robot.
he already knows about it. He already knows about it.
He doesn't know that we have
But
the
we
stone at the I forgot the earth named business.
Solid strides. Got it. Okay,
Solid
so
strides.
you
Connection was what we were talking about.
right. So by now it's about, I'm gonna say, like 11 o'clock ish in the afternoon or morning. You guys leave the Winds and Sails building, and you guys find a corporal who's on a patrol, just cop on the beat sort of deal. And I assume you ask him where to find Marshal Gorbash.
Gorbash.
Yeah.
So he says, he's where would he be? He says,
I thought he was away.
No. The marshal for the outer area of Forthstride, the farmland, he's the one who's on leave. But when you were at that monastery, you were outside Forthstride,
Goliath.
so you were in his purview. But
so
the Goliath had to come instead because Milo couldn't find the other guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was
So-
on leave.
Yeah, so we're finding our Goliath friend again.
Yes. So he points you sort of toward the citadel, but he says he's not in the citadel. He's probably at the base of the hill, giving. He's probably just talking to the shopkeepers at the guild shops, and you know that's this line of buildings over here.
Can we use my secrets to kind of scootle over there quickly?
I mean, it's pretty direct.
Now it's even more direct. No.
Now it's even more direct.
I mean,
We
you would
saved 2
have to
minutes.
literally scale the fence to beeline it over there.
Well, that's fine. We walk.
Oh,
this
why don't
way.
we take that new flying machine?
Right? I want to fly.
It's big. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and walk.
Okay, so you get there. You get there. When you see several militia folk, because there's men and women, just listening to Marshal Gorbash, and he sees the lot of you, and he just he perks up, and he just kind of gives a wave. And he says, he puts his hand up, give me a second. And he's chatting with a shopkeep and a couple of corporals. And then about a minute later, he walks over. And he says, well, what can I do for you? Oh, that dog.
Wow.
Jesus.
I mean, he's been following us for.
The dog's been following me since this morning. He woke me up.
He must like you.
You gave him food, didn't you?
Yes,
He's your friend forever now.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Are we going to have a party dog? Are we going to have a party pet? Is this what this is going to be? Because I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn around and start walking towards the dog and try to soothe the angry yelping animal. May I make an animal handling check?
Sure.
I'm not good at those, but I'm going to try it. And if I get bit,
Oh my God.
whatever. I got +0.
He just shies away from you, and he kind of moves closer to Zachriel, but doesn't go up to him.
He looks like it's only you, my friend.
I will bend down and take another piece of dry tack from my backpack and hold it out.
He like slowly approaches and sniffs the dry tack and just kind of gently takes it.
Does he have a name?
Then I will reach my hand out to try to touch him.
Roll,
Or it,
animal,
or her.
roll animal handling with advantage.
Okay.
He lets you pet him. The party now has a dog.
I now have a coping mechanism.
What
You
should
know
we
what?
name him, Zachariel?
You
Is it
now
gonna
have a
be
therapist.
Steve or something?
Let's call him Joe.
Is that a dog name?
I'll give you a little hint. The Yipper I have tonight, his name is JD, which is short for Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Let's just name him Whiskey.
That's the better coping mechanism. No.
So you're saying I should name him Dwarven Ale?
Yeah, there you go. DA.
Dale.
DA? Dale.
Dale.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like Dale.
Man, give me a hard time, man.
This is pretty actually good.
Sweet, dude. I'm glad we didn't stop the session. Congratulations, you now have a dog named Dale.
I'm very glad that.
No, Dante
Dante? Okay, sure, why not?
from Coco.
Oh, I haven't
I
seen
think you're gonna
Coco
have to
yet.
be a Beastmaster Ranger now.
Can
Illyria.
can he be a Saint Bernard with a little drum of ale around his neck?
No, go and Google Dante from Coco.
I've never seen that movie, but sure. I'm still
I'm waiting for it to stream.
I
Oh,
don't.
God.
I'm not streaming.
Is it
I'm waiting for a Coco to be on stream.
Holy crap, that
like
is
the
perfect.
strayest dog ever?
What? Alright, Dante from Coco.
Oh my god. He's got like that mangy look, and he's got the big tongue.
Oh, yeah.
I just posted them in Discord.
That is not
Oh,
a pretty beast to have.
Okay, so yeah, the Goliath.
I guess we just spent like a minute
You spent a minute befriending the dog.
in front of officials, like we're talking to a cop, and it's like, "Oh, puppy!"
Yeah, he says,
I'm so excited that there's a dog. She just can't help herself. She wants to go up and pet it so badly.
so
Well, look at that face.
Goliath,
Sorry.
Racist.
Goliath, or the
Goodness.
Gorbash is just like, did you need to tell me something?
Yes, we would.
I'm just trying to pet the dog.
Roll animal handling. He's a little bit. He's got food, so roll with advantage because he's got food.
I'll just roll again.
Yes, roll again. He begrudgingly lets you pet him.
I'm gonna attempt to scratch his ears.
Okay. We'll resolve all of this dog petting and then we'll do the dialogue. Roll animal handling with advantage.
With advantage.
Oh, with advantage. Okay, hang on.
Okay, so he
Oh.
takes to you immediately. And
Who's that? Go.
he licks your
Or
hand and
girl.
stuff. Do you check?
Pretty sure it's a boy if we name him Dante.
Fair enough.
Annoyed with how much attention my party members are showing this dog, I quickly tell it to just lay down.
That's definitely animal handling.
Did she get advantage?
Oh my
Well,
god.
I don't think she needs it.
So
the
the
dog
dog,
just kind of falls
you
over.
suddenly hear this sort of commanding voice from Carahill. And the dog just kind of goes, "Hmm," and then just kind of lays down.
He's trained too, see?
Yes, officer, we have something to show you.
No, what is it?
Illyria's brother, of name which is hard to pronounce. He
Oh,
was... I just wanted the gag.
It's not hard to pronounce. It's just it's written in a way that fucks with my dyslexic brain.
He was
Atosi.
recently... Atosi was recently in an accident. Do you know about this?
He says, well, yes, we talked about it.
Yes, well, I found this at the site of where the accident happened, shown the little stone. And
Looks
if
at
you
it.
do recall, I showed my book, we found this symbol amongst the cultists.
He gets a
below
dark
that path.
look on his face. He says, yeah, they're on that symbol was on their skulls.
Yes,
And you said you found this in Solid Strides?
we did.
Right where we were working.
Including the fact that most of the cultists had an affinity with Earth. The main person we dealt with, he had armor made of it. He summoned an elemental of some sort of Earth. It's generally a theme of those we dealt with.
All right, I'm going to
Plus the
request.
threat that Larrick said.
Right, I'm going to request more corporals to be stationed over in the industrial block, especially around Solid Strides. This is worrying.
Zachary just mutters under his breath. Surprised you haven't tried to recruit us.
No. Do you want
Marshall?
him to hear that?
I mean, he kind of says it so that everyone can hear it, but it's like he mumbles it.
He says, well, join the militia then.
Well, it'll be the first time you tried to offer me.
He just kind of shakes his head. Somebody else talked.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask, Marshall, will there be someone watching over my brother? This was no accident.
He nods. He says, that's a good idea. I'll have one stationed at his apartments.
What about the other elemental shops? I worry that this is not an isolated incident.
He kind of takes a breath and he says, well, like I said, I'm going to request more corporals and probably, he says,
May I make a suggestion?
sure.
Perhaps you should hold some sort of town or even ward meeting so that all the business owners and such know
Oh, don't
some
worry.
of the findings. Don't scare them off.
All right, don't worry. We'll have that at the next Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Marshal Gorbash, you're a good man. Thank you so much for being here for us.
He kind of puffs up at that and he says, "Oh, not a problem."
Well, this has been good talking. I hope you can secure this portal as you saw. But I have a very important matters to. And I turn around. I say, "Who's the good boy? Who's it?"
And I just turned to the marshal and asked, by the way, have you talked to Marshal Consell yet?
He says, "Oh yes, I caught him at the Silver Feather last night. He was strangely tickled by the happenings in a sort of dark way."
What do you think that was about?
Like he said that he would have suspected something sooner, but he spends most of his time paying attention to the west side of Forthstride. A lot of marauding monsters come from there. His job is to be on the lookout for them, but the monastery was on the east, which tends to be safer.
Was there anything we needed to ask him?
I think that's most of it. We were just giving him the heads up.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Marshal.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Marshall.
Anything else?
One more animal handling check for the road.
Okay.
And I am getting all the lickies in the face.
Somehow he takes a liking to you, and he just kind of morph, and just yeah.
Ugh. We need to work on your breath, but we'll get you.
Oh my god! I just created the fucking mystery machine gang.
Yes.
Carahel just rolls her eyes, and it's obvious she doesn't care for dogs.
Oh, We need to get Carahil a cat.
I'll take a cat as well. I like cats.
More pets.
Everyone gets a pet.
You guys need to be careful with your pets.
Yeah, bad things can happen to pets.
Bad things happen to pets, to adventurers.
We will have to protect this pet with our life.
Oh boy.
Jump in front of it.
Okay.
Make the sacrifice.
So, anything else you're gonna do before you decide to set off for Dimitri's task?
I'm not going to be here next week, so I just want to get this out now.
Sure.
So we're going up in the air using air elements.
The elementals, yes.
Shouldn't we check those elementals first? See if they have any of those markings.
Do you think my uncle would have marked elementals of the Earth cultists we met?
Pots. Maybe.
Be very hard to mark air elementals, considering they are mostly air.
We can inspect them before we travel, obviously. When we arrive, we will take a quick look over, kick this out of the boat, make sure it doesn't fall apart immediately.
You get the impression.
Take it up, take it down.
You get the impression that Dimitri would be more than happy to go over final checks with you just to make sure.
Perhaps we should pick up a bottle of wine so we can christen the ship.
Oh, yes! You guys get the right ideas.
I'm so excited to fly.
So I guess we will end the night walking off into town to go get a wine bottle for the...
Oh, yeah, and to do other little errands. I think,
Yeah.
Carahil, you had one thing you wanted to do yet, I think.
Oh yeah, Carahil still has her friend to meet up with, but she also doesn't know where she's going to do that, and he also doesn't know where that she's coming.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. So also, if we want to do other tasks before that.
Did you want help finding your friend?
Oh, she's gonna need it, yeah.
Alright, so...
I think we'll end the session here just because it's starting to get late.
And we'll just ask around and try to find Carahil's friend before we head.
Yeah, and we'll just do that. Not a problem.
Perfect. Alright, well, I will see you all